the left and Boy stayed onside. Here's Mounier. 2-0 Huddersfield Town on the opening day of the Premier League. Deplatra's forward. Deplatra's got the better. Yes! And Laurent Deplatra scores! Laurent Deplatra scores!
It's in the box. It's in there! It's in there! It's there! It's on the run! It's in there! The King of Alistair!
Hello and welcome back to the drive-in. Leeds Road is back open for this home weekend fixture, so get in the car, get Matt and the Silkman on your pod provider and listen to the only preview you'll need as you make your way down to the Acu Stadium for what should be a big game between Huddersfield Town and Stockport County. So, last time out at Huddersfield, the Terriers triumphed when Michael Duff's side won 1-0 thanks to an early Lewis Bay own goal on Boxing Day 2024. The match was Town's 23rd victory over Stockport in all competitions as we lead the head-to-head between the two sides, 23-14. Killer, it's 25 years since Stockport last won in Huddersfield. They've got the ability to change that this season. Just tell us about how Stockport have been getting on and fill us in on the Hatters.
Matt, it's time to play the game for Town this season. This is where the real fixtures begin, and Stockport are the first proper opposition I think we've had at the stadium. I know Stevenage came earlier in the year and we did a decent number on them, but at that point we weren't really sure how good they were. I think this time going into this game at home, we all know this is going to be quite a tough game. Stockport are suffering a little bit of a second season syndrome in that last year, obviously they came up and were like a house on fire, did really, really well. Failed just before the end, and obviously Charlton were just a little bit better than them when it came to it. But Stockport were ready to go again. They've changed a few players over the summer. Obviously, Horsfall left, and we thought we would have been interested in bringing him back here, but he ended up at Blackpool, where Steve Bruce was smashing money about left, right, and centre for a few weeks. But this season, Stockport started really well. The first couple of games were good. They got a nice 2-0 win at home to Bolton. They won away at Wickham, which, again, at that point of the season, now looking at Wickham, it's a little bit different. But back then, you're thinking, solid win, that one. Then they've struggled somewhat for a few different reasons. But this game, Matt, on Saturday is, I believe, if Town still are top of the table when it comes to second half, I'm not entirely sure if we are at the moment. You can correct me if we're not. But Stockport are first when it comes to first halves. They've been fantastic in the first 45 minutes of games. I was listening to the Stockport County podcast, the Scarf Bagara War, which I have absolutely no idea what it means. And they were talking about how they start like a house on fire, but then they slow down a little bit in the second half, which got alarm bells ringing for me. They've led in 9 of the 10 league games they've had so far this season. They've only been one game where they lost 4-2 to Plymouth, where they weren't in front at any point in the game. So they've dropped 11 points so far from winning positions. And again, this is something that's important for us who are notoriously slow starters. Stockport are the opposite, and we've got to be really careful for this. They play proper League One football. I still think it's little bit like Bradford, like we've mentioned prior to recording this, Matt. They do pass around a little bit more. They're a little bit more patient, but they still play that kind of standard League One football, focused on throw-ins, set pieces, trying to get the little wins here, there, and everywhere to make it add up over time. While Stockport have started okay when you look at where they are in the league, it's a little bit like us, where the fans aren't particularly happy with it. They're trying to call for Chalmers to change his back 3 system to a back 4, something where we've been before with last season, and Michael Duff and his in desire to shift. Chalmers constantly talks. Chalmers constantly talks about having different formations. It's not just a back 3. They have in position formations and out of position formations. Something else that rang a little bit familiar to me when I listened to that. The fixtures have been pretty soft so far, though. They've now had 2 wins in the last 8 games. One of them was, funnily enough, against Burton, where they managed to win at home 2-1, even though they're down to 10 men for 65 minutes for that fixture. But they've played Wickham, Rotherham, Reading, Orient, Plymouth, Wigan. They've not really played anyone in the top 6 just yet. So just as it is the first game for us, I think that really is going to set off a tough run of fixtures, and we need to be at it on Saturday. We're the same thing for Stockport. We're their litmus test. It's a big, big game on Saturday for both clubs. And it does feel like it, Matt, for me. It feels like it's a bit of a big event. I know it's not as big as the games we have in the Premier League or the Championship, but in League One, there's a few throughout the season where you kind of think, this one really does matter, and Stockport are that team this weekend.
I agree with you 100%. It does feel like there could be something in this game. I know Town fans are a little bit not really in in the zone, are we? This season so far, we're not fully committed to it, but I do genuinely think this is the game where we will get the first real look at whether Huddersfield Town are there for a promotion this season. I think there's games where we've kind of gone, oh, we're not bad with this, and there's other ones where we've gone, do you know what, this team's not going to get promotion, do this. I think this is the first time we've played a team that's kind of expected to be up in the top 2, top 3, top 4 at the end of the season. I know people might say Bradford, etc., but Bradford were expected to be sort of bottom 8, really, but they're up and flying. But I think everyone looked at Stockport at the start of the season and thought, do you know what, there's a chance here for automatic promotion for them, maybe for Huddersfield. And I still think both teams have on this one. And for me, the challenge for this really is that one of these two teams, if they win, can then sort of like kick on and go on and prove that they're one of the top sides in the league. For the one that loses, I think the fans will be sat there asking a lot of questions of what's going on. So I think it's certainly an interesting one. Like I say, 25 years since Stockport last won in Huddersfield. They have the tools to do that now, more than they ever in the last 25. So we'll have a look. So Huddersfield Town will not really had the press conference. So we're recording this Thursday afternoon. The press conference hasn't quite happened yet. It's probably going on as we speak. Town have had 8 players missing last week against Exeter. Of those 8, they were Jacob Chapman, Jack Watmo, Herbie Kane, Max McGowan, Anthony Evans, Mikael Miller, Will Alves, and I almost said Nathan Redmond, but it's Zeppi Redmond, isn't it? So of those, Chapman, Watmo, Evans, and Miller are all back in some form of light training. At injury picture is starting to get a little bit better, which is fantastic. So with that in mind, Killer, Stockport as well, similar to us in many ways, in that they also have a number of injuries, and I see when you look on their forums, etc., they are also a little bit irked about their injury situation. And just to go on the Scarf Bagara war, Danny Bagara was their manager in the 1990s, and I believe he wore a little scarf. So I think it's like a nod to the 1990s when they used to have Kevin Francis, the giant up front. So lots of fun looking back on that, Killer. Right, so the next bit that we're going to do, my good man, when StreamYard behaves itself, because you can hear me buying time here because StreamYard is messing me about. But anyway, let's move on to the tactics board. Right, okay. So we're going to have a look at how the teams will line up. So we don't work, so I've not had a chance to organise anything. And ironically, the scarf that Bagara contacted us about 20 minutes ago asking if someone could go on their podcast. So there's a job for you there, Killer. Okay. Right, so we're going to have a look at how the teams line up. I've got Stockport in yellow and black, and that's basically just the coaching manual, which I use, has got a lack of colours on here. We think Stockport will be in green on Saturday. So we'll have a look at Town's team first. I think Town's team picks it off. Just going back to, you can listen to, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can now listen to Andy Takes That Chance Extra Time, which was barload this week, with Nick joining Killer to do the Harrogate review. And I got told off by Alex on Twitter for saying Harrogate instead of Harrogate. So Alex, if you're listening, it's because I'm posh. So there were a few clues in that game against Harrogate, whatever you want to call them, with Rowan doing 90 minutes, Boyan doing a lot of minutes, Goodman, Taylor, etc. So with them doing time, so to speak, everything, they're probably not going to be in from the start, we think, against Stockport. So the team, I think Lee Nichols currently is in great form, needs to continue. So Lee Nichols will start in goal. Basically the same team as Exeter last week, Killer. I don't think there'll be many changes. I think Sorensen will continue at right back, where he's doing very well at the moment. Feeney, Lowe, Ruben Ruskin, or the Lone Ranger, as he was last week. Ledson and Kasumu. Ben Wiles will play behind Alfie May, we think. And then Harness and Stewart's lad, Leo Castledine, will come in from the left. And I think it's a team that picked the only sort of ones that you can kind of look at maybe is Lyndon Gooch fit enough to go in there. And you could actually argue Lyndon Gooch could play wide left, or he can, right back. So he literally the opposite sides of the pitch, isn't he? So there's maybe an argument for Lyndon Gooch. There's maybe an argument for Sean Rowan, but I think that's the way they'll go. And the reason behind that is the lack of passing option, really, or the lack of technical passer in that two in midfield, which then means that the fullbacks will need to get forward, and then the defensive midfielders will sit. So it's about supplementing the attack with both fullbacks rather than having one of the midfielders be able to join and dictate things. So it's a little bit of a change for Town, which means that the two tens are the two, or traditionally what would have been the wingers would be in the full space, as Andy Kay would want me to say, in between the defence. So it's looking at how Stockport line up. So Stockport Killer go for that 3-4-3 system, which we seem tailor-made for against Bradford. And looking at some of the statistics from Stockport as well. So they tend to have 48% possession. 75% of their passes are on the ground, but that means 1 in 4 is a long ball or a direct ball. They have basically everything goes through Ollie Norwood in midfield. He is the chief chance creator. He's everything to them. Their goals that they've scored this season, Stockport, they've scored 47% from open play, 27% from set pieces, which again is down to Ollie Norwood on the field, 13% on the counter attack as well. Most of their play tends to go down the flanks, the left side being slightly more than the right hand side, and it goes through the middle third. So that's how Stockport will play. It'll be pass, 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 and then there'll be a diagonal to switch, which is not too dissimilar to how Town wanted to play at the start of the season, but we've kind of slowed down a little bit. So we think Town will play that 4-2-3-1 system with a narrow attacking mids and the fullbacks push right up. And when you do so, look, it looks like a nice little blue arrow, doesn't it, on the pitch there, pointing towards the goal. How Stockport will line up, Killer, we think it will be. So there's been a change in goal. Corey Adai has been in goal for Stockport for a while. People recognise him because he's absolutely massive, and he's got the afro haircut as well, which makes him look even like 3 inches taller as well. He's been dropped recently for Ben Hinchcliffe, who's been at Stockport for almost 10 years. He's 36 now, but he's just taken over the last couple. So he's played the last 2 games, and we think he will continue in goal because he's only conceded 2 goals in that time, and Stockport haven't lost. So you would think that maybe there's no reason to switch that back. Corey Adai's been on the bench, so we presume it's a drop in rather than an injury. The back 3 is interesting, and this is where we'll circle back, Killer, to Dave Challinor. The back 3 is a young back 3 as well. So they've got Olowu on the right-hand side, so you can hear me scrambling to get back to my Stockport team here. Olowu will be on 21, signed from Norwich in the middle, and Ethan Pye on the left-hand side. It's a great name, that, isn't it, Ethan Pye? He's been at Stockport a little while. He's come through there. He came through the Stoke system, but Stockport picked him up quite young, so he's been kind of, you can kind of sort of say that he's come through Stockport a little bit. So they're the back 3, and Ethan Pye's 22 as well. So you can kind of see the inexperience and maybe why they've only kept 2 clean sheets this season, and maybe why Ben Hinchcliffe's gone back in goal, because he's at 36, he's a more experienced goalkeeper than Corey Adai. The back 3, you've got Pye who's 22, Hills who's 21, Joseph Olowu 25, but also not massively experienced at this level, with the majority of his football coming at Doncaster in the bottom tier. So there's perhaps reason why Hinchcliffe has gone back in. Quite strong, I think, in the wing back area. So on the right hand side, they have make sure I don't butcher the name, but Tyler Onyango on the right hand side, who's on loan from Everton, which is an interesting one. So he's only played a handful of games, but he's young and coming through. So he's the opposite to what they've got on loan from Derby on the left hand side, which is Ben Osborne, who's a tried and tested decent wing back at Championship level. So Ben Osborne's a decent winger. He's got good delivery from the left hand side as well. Can score goals as well. So it's an interesting couple. Where it's interesting is, so they have Ollie Norwood, who will sit in midfield. So Ollie Norwood will sit and he will try and dictate things. He will be the ones looking for those crossfield balls. He will be the one who sets pretty much every attack off or picks the ball up from the centre back. The partner at the minute with Odin Bailey, which I thought he was more of a winger last season or an attacking player. So I presume he will come and join the gap behind the striker where they play that 3-4-3. So Norwood will sit and then he will maybe join in and make that sort of like you were getting a 4-2-3-1, the three narrow attacking mids, and that could cause a few problems for Town. Town have got David Kasumu, who can pick him up in that area. I think what's quite important in this game, though, is we've heard mention recently of Ryan Ledson and how he prefers to play higher a little bit than he does deeper. And we've noticed with David Kasumu and him partnering, we've noticed David Kasumu's been the one to sit deeper and Ledson higher. So what this technically should mean is that Ryan Ledson will be the one to shut down Ollie Norwood. And that will be, for me, where the battle is won in this game. And like I always say, it's always won in midfield, isn't it? The game's always won in midfield. But for me, this game is particularly pertinent with Ledson versus Norwood. And I think Ryan shut Ollie Norwood down quite early. I think if Norwood dropped, Ben Wiles will need to pick him up, drop off and pick him up. Whereas when he steps higher, I think Ryan Ledson's going to then put up and he's got to be then shutting him down. And I think I think that could be a good battle for Ryan Ledson as well. Ryan Ledson's a bit quicker than Ollie Norwood. He's a bit sharper. So I'm going to look at that, and I think that's going to be a really interesting one in there. So the attacking mids, and that's where we tend to get a little bit worried, isn't it? They've got Jack Diamond, who tore us apart a little bit, didn't he, at their place at Edgeley Park back in March, April when we last played them. He's a couple of goals, couple of assists. He's got 2 goals, 1 assist this season, but he's a key attacking player. And then the other one at the minute is they're playing Andresen, Benoni Andresen. He's again another young player that they've picked up from Reykjavik in January. People might remember, I think he missed a good chance against us, didn't he, at their place last season? So he's a little deeper at the minute. Like we said, they do have some injuries. Luis Farini, he's been around the team as well. Malik Mothersill, I think, has possibly picked up a knock at some point because he's been playing on the left-hand side, although he did play in their recent match against Rotherham, so 40 minutes or so. Before that, he missed the Cardiff game, so potentially might be on the subs bench there as well. So Nathan Lowe, another player as well who was linked with us. I think we were quite disappointed when he went to Stockport over us, but he's not set the world alight just has up front, and he is your prototype target man type player. He is a great target for Ollie Norwood, for Osborne, for Anyanga, and the others to hit. And again, when you talk about matchups, for me, Feeney and Lowe against him it's going to be very difficult for both. I don't think Lowe is particularly great in the air for his size. He can win headers, but direction-wise, not great. Feeney's not too bad either, but strength-wise, he's not quite where Lowe. So it's going to be really interesting to see who picks him up aerially, because that is going to be another key battle in that. And for Town as well, if we think Alfie May will be the man up front, we think Alfie May and Ben Wiles, and they're going to have to get into those attacking areas, aren't they, between the back three, and to cause problems. And Marcus Harness will be the one who may find his space a little bit limited with the type of system that they play. But I imagine Harness will try and drop off the back of Ollie Norwood, and with Ollie Norwood not being the most mobile. And I think that may drag Ben Osborne in from the left and the left side. And that is where, so I think Marcus Harness is going to be an interesting watch, because I think he's going to do that. And that will alter the shape of Stockport. And then that is then up to Sorensen to make that run down the right-hand side. It's up to Alfie May or Ben Wiles then to make that run off of the middle centre-back behind Ethan Pye. And I think that's where Town will hopefully get their joy in this game killer. How do you see those lining up then? And what have you noticed about Stockport and the dangers they possess, and maybe the ways that we can hurt them as well?
The only thing with Town, I guess, that was up in the air would have been who would have been starting in goal, Matt. but obviously Goodman kind of played himself out of recognition a little bit against Harrogate this week. He wasn't great to say the least, and Lee Nichols has been fantastic.
I want to stick up for him a little bit there, because when you play those balls out for the back, the player that you play it to has to step forward to take the ball, and Jay Sway goes backwards. Still, it's not a good pass. He's underhit it. Still not good, but Jay Sway's a little bit free so far from what I'm...
That's exactly what we spoke about on the extra time episode. Funny enough, Matt, I went into that in great depth, and Jay Sway was at fault because he did shout for it. However, Lee Grant after the game spoke about talking to players about avoiding certain actions, and I think what he was referring to in that was that you don't pass it to inexperienced midfielders short from the back against first team opposition, because they're too quick and it takes not very much for it to go very wrong very quickly, and that's what happened. And I think that's why Lee Grant was pretty pissed after the game on Tuesday night. But you're right, it's not all on Goodman. However, just the general all-round gameplay didn't look as confident as it did, so it's pretty certain Nichols is going to start, and like you said, the rest of the team I think picks itself. With Stockport, you've picked out the most interesting person that they've got on where the battle will be won or lost for me, and that is Ollie Norwood. And now the reason why I think Stockport in the last 20 minutes basically die out their arse is because the older guys that they've got, like Ollie Norwood, he's a year on from last year, and he really does kind of drop off. And it's also a problem with playing wing backs in that they've got their injuries, as you spoke about, Matt, and they've only got 2 wing backs left fit. So they don't have the options really to change that and bring in different dimensions. So as the game goes on, Stockport do get softer. Now, they are very, very good up top. Wootton, like you say, I keep calling him Dan Wootton from the Sun. I know it's Carl Wootton, but I just generally go to that every single time. He is the perfect League One striker in that he's a big lad, but he's also quite mobile. And positionally, he's great, and it'll be a very tough ask for Feeney and Lowe to be perfect on him. And that's why when we're going to predictions, I think we're going to have to score more than 1 to win this one for sure. But they're the 2 battles. But with Norwood, it's going to be so important for us to stop him playing. He is probably the best midfielder in the division, or up there with the likes of Lewis Wing. I think when he gets on the ball, possession-wise, he's really, really good. We know it. We've seen it. And okay, he can't do it for 90 minutes anymore, but he can still do more than what most can. For me, I'd be looking at my marking, Matt. He's such a clever player that he'll drift into spaces. Having Kasumu and Ledson have to pick him up zonally, I think will end in trouble. And for me, I'd be like, you've mentioned there, chuck Ledson on him, get him to run around after Norwood for 70 minutes and sacrifice his kind of possessional side of the game with Ryan Ledson, which isn't necessarily great anyway. I'm not saying we will do this. I don't think we will at all. This is not Grant's football. But to me, Norwood is that important to this weakened Stockport team. They are weakened for another reason, though, Matt. Over the summer, Charlton basically picked up any League One player that was half decent, and that's why they're doing so well in the Championship. And they lost Tanto Olafor. And now he was the other striker they had with Wootton, and he was just so fast, straight line fast. They've brought in Nathan Lowe to replace him. And on paper, that looks great. You're looking at Lowe at Walsall last year, scored goals for fun. We wanted him at Huddersfield, but he's not a fast striker. So they've lost that straight line pace. Joe Taylor would have probably been a decent fit for Stockport. Maybe if we could have swapped him for Lowe, it might have worked better in both teams' cases. In that Nathan Lowe does offer you goals, but Taylor has that raw pace. Stockport don't have that anymore. Mothersill's is there, Matt, but he's kind of quick around that middle area, not that over the top fast. And he played with Poku at Peterborough, didn't he, last year? And I think when you've got more than one fast lad, it's easy to look a little bit better sometimes because there's more than one worry. Whereas now he's pretty much the only guy with pace in that final third for Stockport, and he's not hit the ground running either. They have got the issue with Wootton and Lowe, a bit like we have with Taylor and May, how they just don't really gel together very well. And I don't think anyone expected that. Stockport certainly expected more. It's just, with Stockport, what's really strange is very similar to us in not the way we play football, in that it's very, very different in that aspect. But both teams have had somewhat a poor start, if you ask the fan bases, yet how many are we, 5th now? And they're 7th. So there's not that much of a gap between the two teams. We're very few points away from the top of the division, yet neither team really feel like they've got it going. But this week, I'm expecting fireworks, Matt. I'm not expecting a dire, negative, tight game. I think both teams will give it a decent go, and we're in for a crack. And if we're sat here Sunday and it's 0-0, I do apologise. I've got carried away too early. It's just, to me, when I look at the way both teams play and how both teams' seasons have gone, Stockport haven't played this week. We obviously haven't played a proper first team this week. Both teams will be ready to go, so it'll be an interesting one.
I think you're right. I think Town have to score twice to win. Although Town have only conceded very few. Town don't really concede at home, do we? So it's interesting because I think if Stockport take the lead, it's going to be difficult, and I think they could potentially win the game 1-0. If Town take the lead, if it's the second half, I think Town could win 1-0. It's one of these things. So it's very much how the first half goes and how docile Town are for parts of this first half. But against Exeter last week, there was an improvement in that from Town. I know the first 15, 20 minutes was placid and whatnot, but it's better than 45, which we've been seeing.
Yeah.
So so hopefully Town are moving. And to be fair, against Man City, I thought Town were pretty good in the first half, pretty switched on. I know it was a different kind of performance with it being defensive rather than offensive, but I did think Town was switched on for that first half. So maybe things are turning in Town's favour on that, and hopefully they are. How this game goes will depend on the battles there with Harness and who picks up Harness for Stockport. Wootton, I think, our two centre back. I think Jack Watmore's the perfect man, isn't he, for Carl Wootton? Really, that's the shame for Huddersfield, is that he won't be fit to play that role. I think Lowe and Feeney are probably a little bit green for Wootton in some ways, and I think he will cause problems for us. So the next thing is to stop the supply, and that's where Ledson has to take hold of the game against Ollie Norwood or Harness dropping in. I did mention Ben Wells, but it could be Harness because Norwood does drop off onto that left-hand side, so he can ping the right-footed ball to the right, isn't it? So it's going to be a case of Town have got to stop them, but Town have got to do their things that they do quite well as well. So it's interesting, and a lot of it will go on the first half and who scores first. I mean, Town have got 1.6 goals per game. Stockport have got 1.5. I'm half leaning towards a 1-1 here, and both sides kind of going, do you know what? That'll do. We'll see where we are in a couple of months, because I think both sides will get better as the season progresses. But I also think Town can win this game. Looking at the teams on paper, I think if Town tactically get this right, I think if Harness and Ledson do that part which we've discussed, and Wiles and May do their thing where they can get into areas to hurt teams, I think Town can win this. But I also Stockport can win this. So this is why it's such a good game. And you know, when we did the Burton preview, for example, and people always say, yeah, you can always say that, but I never saw Burton beating us really last week. There's teams that'll come here, and I generally think Stockport are a threat, but this is one where I'm like 33.3% recurring, and which way the result could go. And head says 1-1, heart says 2-1 Huddersfield. Is where I'm at.
I am with you all the way again on this one, Matt. I have Town 2-1 winning this. I just think the substitutions later on in the game will favour us, and if it is a tight game, I think Stockport drop off that much. I feel like the fans could be the difference here, Matt, because this isn't Burton, this is Stockport, and I think all the fans appreciate that. And if for the last 20 minutes it's 1-1 and we're going for it, I feel like you won't get that somewhat aggression sometimes you get from the fan base, that frustration that we're not winning, that it's not going in. I feel like it'd be a bit more of a come on, guy, a proper support, a bit more of a come on, let's work at it together to try and get the winner. I see 2-1 Town late on. Alfie May has to score. It's been too long. Was it one goal? Is it one goal all season in the league for him, or two? And Leo Castledine, because every time Castledine plays, he scores. So I'll go 2-1 Castledine May. But it'll be a 1-1. It's just that first goal, Matt. I think we have to score first. Because if Stockport score first, I think it'd be a frustrating afternoon for us, and then the fans will shift. I think we're at a precipice there somewhat, in that if we do fall behind, it might not be the nicest environment again, and we're still not entirely sure if this team can bounce back when that happens. So Town to score first, and then to run out 2-1 winners in the end.
Excellent. That'll do me fine. How will Town get on? Join us this Sunday on the review show, and if you go down to the woods today, you'll never know what you find. You may find a bear, and maybe on Sunday there'll be one returning. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'll be back this weekend.
team in the land, the biggest thing in football since the Football League began. We'll follow them to hell and back, we'll answer every call. We think they are the greatest team that's ever kicked a ball. About a mile from Huddersfield, down on the A62, there is a place we call Leeds Road I'd like to show to you. It's there that all our heroes play, there's none can match their skill. And we all know no matter what, there's none that ever will. Yeah, Huddersfield, the best team in the land, the biggest thing in football since the Football League began. We'll follow them to hell and back, we'll answer every call. We think they are the greatest team that's ever kicked a ball. We know that there are many teams with followers and fans who said that we had our day, but they don't understand that we've just been regaining strength and now our rest is done. We'll show them how the game is played back in Division 1. Yeah, rule the Terriers, the cowshed boys are we. We shall cheer our team to victory. Yeah, Huddersfield, the best team in the land, the biggest thing in football since the Football League began. We'll follow them to hell and back, we'll answer every call. We think they are the greatest team that's ever kicked a ball. So come on down to Huddersfield and watch the Terriers play. Come and shout and chant and cheer, you won't regret the day. You came with us to watch the greatest team that's ever played, the greatest game of football since the first football was made. Yeah, Huddersfield, the best team in the land, the biggest thing in football since the Football League began. We'll follow them to hell and back, we'll answer every call. We think they are the greatest team that's ever